Welcome to the Gallant Few, the Rangers podcast, who are proudly sponsored by the Insurance Practice. The team at the Insurance Practice specialise in family protection and life insurance, and who better to look after you and your loved ones than fellow Rangers fans. Check out the website at www.theinsurancepractice.co.uk or contact the Gallant Few for more information. Hello and welcome to the Gallant Few, Rangers podcast. My name's Colin MacDuff, and joining me today to look ahead to Sunday's game against Aberdeen, as well as recap all the going-ons in the world of Rangers. First of all, Scott Carney. How you doing, Scott?
How you doing, Colin?
I'm good, mate. And making his Gallant Few debut, Ally Pearson. Ally, thanks for joining us.
No problem, Colin. Good to be here.
So, coming off the back of the international break, and I'll be honest, lads, I'm still no a massive fan. I try to get into Scotland. I really do try. I wish I could get into the hype, but it's just no in me. But it has been a bit more interesting with Rangers having so many players involved. So we'll not run through every one of them. Just a couple of highlights. Scott, I'll come to you first. I don't know if you've watched the Scotland game or if you've watched much of Scotland, but Ryan Jack's been doing fairly well for him. I think if Steve Clarke was to pick a strongest 11, he'd be in there for all the major games, and he was in there for the game against Serbia. It'll be good to see him continue to have a run at international football, and as well as play the Euros.
Definitely. Actually, I'm the same as you, Colin. I can't get myself into international football, supporting Scotland. I never really have. Even growing up when I was younger, I never really got into Scotland as much. But I did watch the Serbia game, and I did give it a wee yash when the penalty was saved at the end. In terms of Ryan Jack, I think Ryan Jack's kind of making that role that he does. He's kind of his own just now. He's obviously learning so much from Gerrard, and he's taking it into the national team. Even with the way he plays with Rangers, I think he's kind of making that role his own. Davis isn't playing. It's Ryan Jack that kind of plays. I'd say Davis obviously is getting on a bit, so Jack's kind of filling that role. Just now, he's one of the first names on my team sheet now for Rangers. But I'm chuffed for him to be able to get to go to the Euros. So it's only a good thing for us, for experience for him. So it can only be a blessing for Scotland and for Rangers, really.
No, I agree with you there, mate. What I'm most chuffed about, is who he's keeping out of the team. I know Ryan Jack's a bit more defensive minded in terms of the Scotland players, but Scott McTominay is getting pushed to centre back. Guys like Fleck, Armstrong, Kenny McLean, they're not getting in the team ahead of them. It tends to be the strongest midfield three for Scotland right now is McGregor, Jack, and John McGinn. So he's absolutely there in merit. He's not just there because he's a Rangers player. He's there because he does that job so well. Ali, we'll come to you for Borna Barisic. So this is a bit of a strange one, I think. Obviously, I'm well on the Barisic fan club. I've been hyping him up big time the last year, and been hyping him up when he's been playing for Croatia as well. The last few international breaks, he has been in and out of the team. He's been quite inconsistent. So I'm not expecting you to have watched the Croatia international games, but that's, again, he's kind of dropped out the first 11 for the Portugal game. Is this a concern? Do you think this will knock his confidence, or is this maybe a chance for him to get a rocket up his arse and pick up his form a bit for Rangers?
I'd probably think the latter, to be honest. I seen he played the full 90 against Sweden. They get beat, obviously, 2-1 in that game. And then again against Portugal the other night, he wasn't playing. He didn't play the full 90. There was a bit of me that was actually quite happy he didn't play the full 90 because I know he's coming back for Sunday fully fit. Borna, he started the season absolutely on fire. The free kick that he nearly scored against Livingston could have turned that game as well. I have noticed, speaking to Scott recently, in the last kind of few games, you seem to maybe get a cracking 45 minutes out of him, and then he seems to die away a wee bit recently. So I don't, like I say, in his international form, I can't say I've seen Croatia, but I don't know if he's maybe slightly inconsistent at the moment with him. but he's still my number one left back for us. Although Big Bass is a good one to come in for us at the moment, but no, I think it's all good with Bournemouth at the moment. I think it's all good. Like you say, it'll probably give a wee rock up his arse, to be honest.
So I just adding to that with Bournemouth, I would agree. Sometimes he doesn't seem to be in the game for the full game, but he's still got the killer cross for us. He still has that. There's no way we can't play him. The only thing I can put it down to Croatia is maybe he's not getting enough defensive practice right now with the way he's playing with us. And that's the only thing, that the way that Croatia might play, the way Rangers might play, maybe doesn't match up, because he's just constantly bombing forward just now. But I don't think it's anything to worry about with Bournemouth. The guy can win us a game with a cross, so he'll be fine.
I think there might be a wee bit of him that he does really up his game a bit more. I don't think that he necessarily has to up his game too much for Rangers. Although he's not been quite as outstanding as he was towards the tail end of last season, he is still doing the job. But I think I can see him, especially in Europe. I think he'll maybe turn a few blinding performances in Europe, and I'm not going to be too harsh on him. It must be difficult getting used to playing with outstanding players like the likes of Hagi, Davis, Jack, and then drop him down to play with Modric. So it can't be helped at times.
Yeah, that's true.
Aye, there's only so much one player can do. Scott, we'll stick with you on the subject. Yanis Hagi, he's another one that's dropped out a favour with not quite dropped out a favour. I think that's unfair. He was still in the plans for the Romania squad by the looks of it, but he wasn't going to get any guaranteed game time. So he's dropped into Adrian Mutu's under-21 squad. He's captained them. This sounds daft. You want every player playing at the top level internationally, exposing them to the big games and stuff. But when he's in and out of the Rangers team, he's not going to play every Thursday, Sunday. I think this is still decent game time at a decent level. What's your take on that?
I think the way it was reported in the press, obviously the Sun took the great pleasure in it, and your kind of other Scottish tabloid papers took.
I'm going to cut you off there quickly. Just say fuck the Sun. Sorry, as you will.
They were quick to report that it's a lack of confidence, and he's struggling with his confidence. He's not got enough play time at Ibrox. That's just nonsense, really. I think it was put more down to him maybe asking the question of wanting to play with under-21s and not just to guarantee himself game time. He's went straight in there, he's captained them. They won 4-1 and guaranteed their qualification into the UEFA Under-21 Championships. I think it's good that Hagi wants to do that. I think it's good that he wants to play football. He's still young. We never expected him to come in and kind of his first season by storm and blow Scottish football out the water. But there's a player in there. There's no doubt about it. His quality is unreal, and it's a great investment for Rangers. I can only see us making a profit on him. Hagi he'll be a player for us in the next kind of 2 to 3 seasons, hopefully, and we'll get the full potential out of him. I've got every belief in that. But I'd say, by him dropping down to the under-21s, it's only a good thing. It shows he's keen to play football.
I agree with Scott as well on that one with Hagi. I mean, I've been watching Romania, and he's been on the bench a lot of times with the full squad. So to go down to the 21s, captain, like Scott says, and obviously get the 4-1-1, will give his confidence good. Because the problem now we've got, and it's a good problem, is our midfield and front three is frightening at the moment. And where does he fit in? Who does he take the place of to come in? So it's probably quite hard for him, and we all keep forgetting, like Scott said, is the guy's only 21. He's still young. He's still learning the game in Scotland. I mean, up here he's getting kicked all the time. He might be like a Joe Aribo that's blossomed this year, that maybe next season you'll get the best out of him. But like you said, I mean, look at his assists this season. To me, he's a moments player. He might not play well for 75 minutes, but he'll give you 5, 10, 15 minutes for you'll play a blinder of a ball or whatever. So no, I think we'll stick with Hagi. I think he will come good, but I think he's one of these sort of development players. But we just need to remember he's 21, although we did pay, what was it, £2-3 million for him. So, yeah.
It is so easy to forget that he's only 21 because he was playing in the Champions League for the last couple of years. He's been capped by Romania. He's impressed heavily a couple of years ago at the Romanian under-20s. There's been a bit of hype about him, and obviously with with his name as well, there's always got to be that extra hype. So it is easy to forget how young he is. But see, to be fair, I think absolute credit to him. It shows a bit of maturity. If you think how many players break through early on, and if they were to kind of get to the top level national team and then drop down, so many players these days would spit the dummy out. But he's recognised that, no, what I do need to be playing regular football and I need to go and work in my game. So I think heartening to see from a Rangers point of view that he's got the right attitude, I think. So before we move on with the football, just sticking with the subject of attitude and maturity. The time of recording, it's Thursday night. It was announced today that George Edmondson and Jordan Jones will serve a 7-game ban from the SPFL. One of those games has already been served, and I think the other 6 might be suspended. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I think in the last couple of podcasts, Craig McAdam put it perfectly. A couple of fannies. There's no really any sympathy for the majority of Rangers fans. They broke the rules. They put themselves and the players at risk. I think everybody was happy enough that the club came straight out and condemned them. Scott, what's your opinion on a 7-game ban?
Well, it's quite a lengthy ban. It's their own fault. I mean, I can't really defend either of them. I don't see Jordan Jones, in my opinion, is going to exit out the back door. Ibrox, I don't think we'll see him again. I don't even think you might not even see him in training. It could even be that serious for him. It's Edmondson, as I say, I said it the last time, the last pod I was on, I'm not sure what happens with Edmondson. He is younger. He might get another chance, but there's players nipping at his heels as well. We've got youth players nipping at his heels as well, so I'm really not sure. After the Bolingoli incident and the Aberdeen players incident, the players were made aware that the next people to get caught doing this, they were going to get the book thrown at them. They've only really got themselves to blame. They nearly put the kind of run that we're on and the progress the club are making in the season, they nearly put all that in jeopardy just for getting our hole. It's so daft. It's stupid wee boy stuff. It's not the kind of players we need representing Rangers. I don't feel that any player should think that they can do what they want or think that they are cliche bigger than the club or whatever, because they're not, and especially they're not even on the kind of first 11 fringes really. So I mean, yeah, it's a lengthy ban, but I think they do deserve it.
Ali, I'll just come to you. I've seen a fair bit on the likes of Twitter and stuff saying that it's inconsistent with the Bolingoli incident and the Aberdeen 8 or however many it was. They had less of a game ban. For me, I think, and I might be a hypocrite here, see if this was maybe Morelos and Ryan Jack, I'd maybe be a bit more up in arms. So I'll call that out. I might be pot kettle black scenario, but I think a line was drawn underneath the sand when Nicola Sturgeon came out and condemned everything. So I think I agree with Scott. The guys knew that everyone in Scotland knew that the next players to get caught doing this would have faced a more severe ban.
Yeah, no, I'd like to say I saw on Twitter the exact same things today. With Jordan Jones and Edmondson, I was really disappointed, especially with the team flying. I mean, they could have seriously jeopardised our whole team. I mean, if they'd came back from that without anybody knowing, they could have put the whole thing in bother. So to me, 7-game ban, it's what they deserve. We can't say anything about it. All I would say is, with going forward, if any other player from any other team does do this going forward, I hope they get hammered as much. I know the Aberdeen and obviously the Celtic one we were talking about, they got bans, but a lot of them were suspended, so they didn't really serve them that much. But like Scott was saying, Jordan Jones, I mean, we keep saying he's a daft wee boy, but he's mid-20s, Jordan Jones. I mean, I think he's 26, 27, Jordan Jones. He's not an 18-year-old boy. But I think he's one of these guys that just won't learn. And like Scott was saying, I don't think we'll see the two of them again. I mean, today I read Katic is hopefully back January training with the team. So there's another centre-back at Edmondson's heels as well. So, no, I really don't think we'll see the two of them again.
No, with Jones, I think I said in the last time we spoke about it, this isn't his first strike at Rangers, and there's been this question mark over him for a wee while. Edmondson, as much as I'm not going to pardon him for this, I do feel a bit sorry. He's younger, maybe a bit more wet behind the ears, and I think with Jones, he's had a fairly lengthy career so far. Edmondson's just at the start, and this should really send his career in a nosedive, especially at the club. There are 4 centre-backs even before this, 4 centre-backs with more credit in the bank than he does. The likes of Lewis Mayo and stuff knocking at the door as well. I could be wrong, but I can't see either of them staying past January. So on to a happier note, lads. Rangers are back on Sunday. We're playing Aberdeen on the Sunday game. So before we actually talk about the football, I thought this was really weird. Obviously, we can watch it on RTV as part of the season ticket, but it's on Sky as well. MDLs get a wee bit of a chuckle when the Tims were going after nut that their game wasn't on the telly and our home game is.
Are you surprised, mate? Are you surprised at all with that? No. It is a wee bit of a strange one, I suppose, for them to decide not to show the Celtic game. But there's only one team in Scotland, lads.
It's the same with the Boxing Day game as well. If you see, we're at home at Hibs. That's on Sky as well. Sky have taken that one too. So, aye, it annoys them up.
It's a bit of a weird move for Sky, because surely they know that the majority of Rangers fans are going to pick Clive Tildesley over Andy fucking Walker. So I don't know.
Any day of the week.
So I don't know if they thought that one through. I think their viewership will nosedive on Sunday. But so on to the actual football, it's as of yet, it'll be typical. We're recording Thursday night. The press conference will be tomorrow morning. So before the press conference, there's no fresh injury concerns to what I've heard, but no doubt there'll be an announcement tomorrow and make me look like an absolute mug. But assuming everybody's fit, I find there's going to be, based on recent form and how the teams have been setting up, there's a few certain starters, people who, when fit, they're guaranteed to start. McGregor, Tavernier, Golson, Barisic, Ryan Kent. The first question mark I'm going to come to you, Scott, for this. Who's your centre-half pairing? Who goes in alongside Connor Golson and why?
I think it'll be Hollander. I don't see it not being Hollander. Just after the Benfica game, he gave Balogun the run out last time, so I'm pretty positive it will be Hollander. Again, I'll probably be made to look like a mug as well when the name's Balogun.
I think, Ali, I really wanted Hollander to start against Hamilton after Benfica, because I think 2 weeks is a long time to sit on having a howler of a game, especially in such a high-profile game. And I think Hollander will be suited to playing against Aberdeen. They're not the quickest on the break, and I think Aberdeen will show Rangers a lot of the ball, so we don't really need Balogun stepping out. You agreeing with us here? Well,
yeah, no, I agree with that. Balogun to me is obviously his pace can get him out of jail a lot of time. Like you say, with Aberdeen, they play with Big Cosgrove up front. They don't come to play football, Aberdeen. They play for set pieces. That's what they play for. So he'll be up there as a kind of battering ram for them. So to me, you don't really need the pace at the back. And before that Benfica game, Hollander to me was an unsung hero, to be honest. He was outstanding. Just because he does the basics, he doesn't really get the credit he deserves. I mean, Goldson comes out, does the Hollywood pass all the time. He looks brilliant. Hollander just keeps it simple. But for me, I'd like to see Hollander come in. I saw he played 25 minutes for Sweden the other night there. He came off the bench. So, I'd like to see him play and then hopefully get a clean sheet, and then he can motor on from there again.
So we all agree in the back five, really. Ali, I'm going to stick with you and put you in the front foot with this one. Your midfield three. I think I've said this in the past few podcasts. I think there could be any variation of our midfield three, and I'd be happy with it. Obviously I've got my preference. Personally, I still want Arfield in as part of that midfield three, but I get the argument for Davis, Jack Kamara or Aribo going back in there. Who would you be going for if you're put in the hot seat?
It's probably the toughest question at the moment because, like you say, and you've got Zungu coming into the team now, who his wee cameo a couple of weeks ago when he was pinging balls about for a minute, and you thought, oh, he looks a player as well. It's a hard one because Aribo you can play actually in the front three out on the right hand side to accommodate somebody like an Arfield. The problem with Arfield is I saw him as a squad player this season on the bench most of the time, but he's been undroppable, to be honest. Arfield, he's one of our best players. But for me, I would have Ryan Jack sitting there with Arfield and probably Kamara with Aribo in the front three. That's what I think he'll play because Aberdeen are obviously physical, so you'll probably try and stick with Jack, Arfield, Kamara for a bit of physicality in the middle of the park. But that's the front three I think he'll go with, and I would probably go with as well. But like you say, you could choose any combination you want, but I think that's the one he'll go for against Aberdeen.
Scott, is there an argument that Kamara and Jack are maybe a bit similar, and you could be doing with a ball playing centre mid with the likes of Davis? And I know we've only seen a brief cameo of him, but Zungu's got a pass in him. There's an argument that one of them could come in and do a job.
I was all ready to have an argument there with Ali about the team sheet, but he picked my team. That's exactly the team that I think will get played. I understand what you're saying. I don't think Zungu yet because they'll get put down as the whole not match fit enough yet, not had enough minutes in the legs. With Davis, I think you could play Davis. I don't think he will. I do think he'll stick with Kamara. I like Kamara when he's a wee bit more aggressive and on the front foot. And when Jack's there, I think he is a wee bit more likely to do that. And Arfield's runs, as Ali was saying, Arfield he's been undroppable, and the way he links up on the right-hand side with Tav is fantastic. So I think it will be that three. But it's great to have choices. When's the last time we could sit here and discuss who was going to play in the midfield? It's brilliant. So, but we might be wrong. You never know. We don't know what he's going to do. But if I had to put money on it, I would say that would be the midfield three.
You're right. It's great to have choices, and not just the selection headache we had in February, where everybody was shit out of form, so you didn't know who you wanted to play. If you could, you'd play all of them right now based on form. Scott, for me, Ryan Kent is an absolute certain starter, and I think even though he's not been scoring, he's not been prolific, Morelos has been so important to how we've been playing. They two are guaranteed starters for me. Well, they should be, and I know there's a big argument for the likes of Roof and Defoe to come in, especially when we're playing at Ibrox, but who you having as your front three?
With the way they throw hammers, Aberdeen, I can't see Defoe playing at the back, up front with them at the back. I think it will be Kent, Morelos and Aribo. I think that's the front three that he'll play. And I think, not in a way that he's shoehorning Aribo into the team, but I think his choices are so... He's got such a choice now that he has to try and play his form players, especially in a game against Aberdeen. And I think it will be Aribo, I say, with the link-up that he does with Arfield, he does with Tav on the right-hand side. I think it will be. I don't know if it's probably not a game for Roof. He might make an appearance. And I say, I don't think, on form so far with the club anyway, I don't think Hadji's ready to come back straight into the team again yet. So my money would be on Kent, Morelos and Aribo. Plus Morelos loves an absolute battle with Aberdeen. Many times have you seen it. He loves a good scrap with them. So I'm buzzing. I can't wait for it now, actually, now that we've started talking about it. I can't wait.
Ali, the good thing about having so many options is, like we've just spoken about it there, there's no guarantee that who's really picked because there's so many decent options. Also, Aberdeen will know how to set up against us. How do you think Aberdeen will set up? And that might sound like a very obvious question, but the bits I've seen Aberdeen with the likes of McCrory, McGeoch and Ferguson in midfield, especially when Cosgrove was out injured, they actually tried to play football and they've done it fairly well. They're actually doing no bad this season. They've done really well against Celtic when they got the 2-2 score, even though they shat the bed the week after. Ross McCrory's not going to be there. Do Aberdeen just revert to type and put 10 men behind the body, I think?
Well, I read a thing today saying Aberdeen's missing 5 players this weekend. Obviously, McCrory, like you said, is missing because he's on the loan with us. Apparently, they're missing McGinn, McGeoch, Johnny Hayes, and Watkins. So, I mean, like you say, I saw them against Celtic. They actually did play a bit of football, which I was kind of surprised about. I still think they'll resort to parking 2 buses at Ibrox and trying to frustrate us. That's what they do. If they come out and try to play football against us, we'll pick them apart. I really just think they'll sit there and play for set pieces. They'll use Cosgrove up front as their focal point. But yeah, they're missing a couple of players. Johnny Hayes has been a good player for them this year at left back, and obviously McCrory sitting in there with Ferguson. The two of them have came up through the youth together, so they know each other well. So that kind of unbalances their team. But yeah, I just think they'll come to Ibrox as they always do and sit, to be honest.
No, I think so too. And this time last year, I would have still had the concern and the question mark of Rangers can't break down teams when they just hold the fort, and they hold the fort well. With this Rangers team, when we aren't just relying on Morelos for goals, goals are coming from midfield and fullback, basically. You know what I mean? It's coming from all areas of the pitch, set pieces as well. I think I've got my bias brought into specs here, but I think if Aberdeen come out and have a go, we'll pick them apart. But I think Rangers are getting ready and they're well equipped to breaking them down. Got to put you on the spot. So I'm going to predict a 3-0 Rangers. Scott, give me a scoreline.
Well, I was going to say 3-0, I'll say 4-0.
Ali, what are you going for?
I'm going to go 2-0.
2-0. Just on that, my dad asked me what my prediction for the score every time Rangers play, and I'll say what I think. Maybe a 1-0, 5-1, depending on what the game is. Since I've started going to the football, when I was like 10 or whatever, he said 2-0 for every game. Like, absolute shite bag. But see, anytime he comes in, he's the cockiest bastard in the world. See, tell you, I always get it right. Even a broken clock's wrong twice a day, mate. So, moving on to other news. Ali, I'll come to you for this. I know you've seen kind of bits and bobs of the women's Old Firm, where the Rangers women went 1-0 down to Celtic. Kind of an anticlimax after the start of the season we've had. Previously won 3 out of 3 league games and 1 or 2 League Cup games. What's your thoughts on this? The reason I'm asking that, saying it's an anticlimax, there's been a lot of hype about the Rangers women team this year, a lot of big signings, even signing from Glasgow City, signings from Man U. Do you think this is maybe just a one-off, or do you think we might need a bit too much pressure on them?
I'd like to think so. Like you say, that they've put a lot of money in the women's team this year, invested a lot, as have the other side of the city. They've done the same too. Like I say, I did watch bits of the game. I wouldn't say I watched the full 90 minutes. I was flicking between that and Scotland at the time. The Scotland game was terrible, to be honest. So, but no, it was a 50-50 game, to be honest. In the second half, Rangers had a couple of chances. There was one shot they had from outside the box where the Celtic keeper had a right good save to tip over the box. And then there was another one that they flashed across the box. But to be fair, a draw was probably a fair result in that game. It was a shame the way it happened at the end where they conceded the penalty and the girl for Celtic, Summer Green, I think her name was, scored the goal. But 5 games in, Glasgow City are the main team in that league. They've always been the main team. They got through the Champions League. I seen the other night there. They beat Celtic in the first game of the season 1-0. So they're the team obviously to go for. So like you say, bringing all these players in, like you could say our team, the male team, it's going to take time to gel. It doesn't just click straight away. So it's probably just a wee blip, to be honest. Like you say, Celtic, Rangers and Glasgow City will be the main 3 this season. So I wouldn't read much into it, to be honest.
Yeah, the interview we had with Demi Vance pre-season, we did get that feeling for Demi when she was talking about that. You know, there's a lot of excitement in and around the training ground, but there's absolutely no illusions how much hard work it's going to be to knock Glasgow City off the perch. Is that something mental? Like the last 13 leagues they've won, it's they've dominated Scotland for years. So I think I'd like to think it is just a blip. I think they're confident how they're setting up this year, but by no means cocky or complacent. So here's hoping that they get back to their good run of form. Scott, we spoke the last few weeks about how many players we have out on loan, and it was good to see so many players get a run out in the League Cup for their teams over the international break. One player in particular who's really settling in well, Kai Kennedy on loan to Inverness Cali. By all reports, he's given them something different. He is starting to stand out at that level, which we speak about. If players realistically want to get in the Rangers first team, they need to be standing out and making an impact at that level. It looks as if contact talks are back on with Kai Kennedy's representatives and the club. Is this something you think will be realistically turning into fruition, or do you think it's just paper talk?
Well, I think maybe sending him up north to play his football, it's not an easy place to go. It's not probably an easy place to play football. So it's maybe teaching him what he wants out of football and what he expects to achieve in football. Based on what I've heard about his contract talks, there's a lot of paper talk around it about what he was demanding, what the club were demanding, kind of he said, she said stuff. I think if Rangers get him tied down in a contract, it's only a good thing. Of the players that we have out on loan just now, he is the one that looks most promising. He is the one that's consistently getting game time. So it only makes sense for the club to try and tie him down to a contract. I think he will sign a contract. I think he will extend his stay at the club. Hopefully everything that he's experiencing, all the game time that he's getting is only going to help him, and never know, we could have a future star on our hands. But I would expect him to sign a new contract with Rangers, no doubt about it.
Ali, I'd like to find that maybe if he was getting a bit big for his boots, that he had been brought back down to earth, just as Scott was mentioning there, it can be a real eye-opener for young players to go out to the Championship or League One. Even in the Championship, they're up against part-time players, guys that are working 9 to 5 every day and then coming in. They might not be the most talented, but they definitely know all the tricks of the trade and the dark arts of the game. I think if he signs a new contract, hopefully if he comes back with a bit of experience at first team level and a bit more humble, I'm agreeing with Scott that there could be a big player on our hands.
Yeah, he seems to be a player that the rate at Rangers. I saw a bit of him last season, and he looks a good wee player. It's a tricky player. Like you say, he needs to go out and learn his football. Going up to Inverness, like Scott was saying there, up in the cold. I mean, you see what their stadium is. It's right down the waterfront. Be an eye opener for him. Probably good for him as well. It's a tough one with the lone players that are out at the moment, because it's going to be tough to get into this Rangers team. I mean, you look back at how many youth players have actually got into this Rangers team in the last God knows how many years. It's tough to break into now, and especially the way we're going. I mean, you see we're bringing in boys like Lewis Hadji, 21, bringing him in. You're bringing Aribo in. You're bringing these youths from other teams in. So these boys need to step up. The only one I would really say that probably make it is McCrory. I know he's been in and out at Livingston, but he's maybe the next kind of hope for us. There's a few boys out. Stephen Kelly's at Ayr United again this season. Will he make it? I really don't know, to be honest. I like the look of the boy Mayo. We saw him against, it was that game we played Wrexham in the Challenge Cup. We went to see that, and he looks a big unit, Mayo. He looks like he could come. He looks a man, to be honest. So he looked promising, but it's going to be hard for any of them out loan to come into this team. It really is. But it would be good to see one of them make the breakthrough, to be honest.
Talking to Willie Irvin, the guy who runs the Rangers youth updates, and if anybody's not seen that page on Twitter, Willie will go to any game that he can get to. He's even been going full lockdown and just watching it over the fence. Picture he went to Bratislava to watch an under-19 game. So committed, and he's got great ties with the club. But I think now what's promising to see is Rangers aren't writing off players when they don't make it when they're 17 or 18. There's a development plan based on that individual player. So for the likes of Lewis Mayo, he knows what he has to do over the next 2 or 3 years to realistically make it into the Rangers team. So I think Robbie McCrory's testament to that. It wasn't just one loan and then if you're good enough you'll go in, if not you're sold. It can be loan after loan until they're either ready or they're not going to quite make it. So I think that's really promising in the setup.
So also as well, adding to that, it's obviously stating the obvious, we're also desperate for success. We no matter how much we'd like to think we would love to support their youth players and that, right now we wouldn't give them the chance that they probably deserve and the time they need to settle in and to develop in the first team. Right now we're so desperate for success, it's just not the time. But I think the club have recognised that and recognised, right, okay, yeah, right now it might not be the time for you to step up to the first team, and as you're saying, sending the players out on loan again, especially with McCrory, it's your time will come, and I think he's been told that your time will come, but right now it's not the time. We have to stop Celtic winning the league. That's the end goal, that we have to stop Celtic winning the league. So I think in time these players might start coming through if we achieve the goal that we want to achieve. And I said I think the club have recognised the need for success before putting the youth players first.
Yeah, so hopefully based on that, the chance comes sooner rather than later. We've got the league wrapped up by March, and we just play the under-19s for the rest of the season.
Amen, mate. Amen.
So the last bit of news to touch on, and I don't want to just bypass it as this happened as well. Edmondson House, the demolition has started in that, and we're going to start rebuilding the new Edmondson House. Ally, I think this is high time we get something like this in and around Ibrox. You boys are probably being trips away abroad with partners or your mates, and you always look for the nearest football stadium, don't you? And you go a tour around it or you try and catch a game. This is high time. Rangers. The Rangers are famous worldwide, so it's only right that we have this attraction.
Yeah, totally agree. Edmondson House has been lying there empty for God knows how many years now. Every time me and Scott watch the game, you walk past it all the time. It's a shame. It's a shame. Like you say, every football ground you go to around the world these days have the stadium tours. They walk you through. They tell you a story. You end up in the club shop where you spend the money. We don't have that. I mean, we've not had a superstore for God knows how many years either, and it's quite hard to explain it to a kind of visiting fan what's happening. They don't understand it. So, no, a great thing. 150-year anniversary coming up in 2022. But it sounds good, a lot of the stuff they're doing. I mean, it's going to have the museum in it. It's going to have, obviously, the new retail shop's going to go down there as well. It's going to host dinners as well, up to 500 people. And it's going to be a new entertainment complex for gigs as well, similar to kind of like the O2. So they know what they're doing. They're aiming at different kind of markets as well, Rangers. But a team like Rangers, we need to celebrate our history. And me and Scott have done the Founders Trail, which was a great tour. You go back to the stadium, but just to take them in a proper museum and then end in a club shop, it can only be good for Rangers. But yeah, no, I can't wait for it to open. It'll be absolutely chock-a-block when it opens, I can imagine. But no, it'll be really, really good.
Scott, I think that's a really good point there that Ali made in terms of we're aiming at different and various markets right now. If you want to do something before the game, you need to go for a pint or walk around Ibrox looking at it in the pissing rain. That's, personally, I stopped drinking before the games during the third and second division season because I was paying all this money for a season ticket, getting pissed before it and no remembering anything that happened. That Edmondson Kribali, I still don't know what he looks like. I can't remember him playing because I was wrecked for most of the games. But Now there's got to be cafes, there's got to be like family areas, Scott, and it's like, if you think about a 12-year-old right now, they've not really experienced the Rangers we know. So it's good to get stuff like this where families can go, groups of guys, groups of women, mixed stages can go.
100%. I think, as I say, it's long overdue. And I'm just so glad that the board that we have now have decided to invest in it. The plans for it look really good. They look fantastic, very promising. It's an extra income for the club as well. It's not just constantly relying on the Rangers fans selling out season tickets. As I say, we're going to have a club shop, we're going to have a club museum. I mean, it's 150 years. The history we can put into a museum is unbelievable. So it's only a good thing, and I would quite happily roll up to Ibrox and pay an extra £1 for my pint before I go in and watch a football. If it's going to support the club, I'd be more than happy to do that. And I think there'll be a lot of other people that would be as well. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see the kind of the finish of it all. And yeah, it can only be a positive for the club and for the city, to be honest.
Totally agree, and I can't wait. There's this much buzz about it right now, and I just know when it finally gets opened, and I can just see the atmosphere outside the stadium being so vibrant and buzzing before the game, and I can't wait for it. Right, lads, best part of the show, Twitter part of the week, where we picked the funnest thing we've seen, Rangers or football or anything other related, really, if it fits. Best thing we've seen on the social media. I'm going to kick off. I'll put my hands up. I tend to rip off Kerrydale Meltdown. I give them a shout out every week, but I need to start digging a bit more. But some of the shit they put on is just so fucking funny. I had a right good chuckle at the article they were screenshotting for that guy with 19 names, the Irish Journal film, like fucking idiot, where they were just talking about the impending doom and how he paid all the photographers when Rangers got into trouble in 2012. It was just all the comments for Tim's arguing against this, just like it's a joke to try at him. It's just the sheer belief that liquidation 2 is coming or admin 2 is coming. What I don't get is, right, so on here we're fairly new, fairly small, and we're building a wee bit of a following. But we talk about the football. See if we just came on and spouted shite like Celtic fund Al Qaeda, will we get more followers?
I doubt that, mate. To be fair, I think there's just a group of them. There's about 100 of them, and they just do a circuit of each other's kind of comments and stuff like that. They're moon howlers, mate. What do you expect?
Aye, yep, they howl at the moon and they drink out of puddles. But no, if nobody's seen that, go on and check out the screenshots for Kerrydale Meltdown. Scott, what's the funniest thing you've seen this week?
So the funniest thing I've seen this week, and I encourage every single person to go and watch it, is it was actually sent to me by Ally. It's on with tonight. Is a Ghana newsreader reading out the English football results. Just listen out for Sheffield United and Wolverhampton Wanderers. That's particular highlights. To say if you've not seen that, go and check it out. You will not regret it. It's hilarious.
Oh, I'll be sure to have a look at that. Ali, what's the funniest thing you've seen, mate?
Oh, there was a good one on Twitter this week. For everyone out there that watches I'm a Celebrity, there was a guy that was in a pit with snakes, and he kept saying something about his happy place was Turf Moor, which obviously at Burnley, I don't know how that's a happy place. So they had some reporter down at Turf Moor going down to interview people to see if they're happy down there. And a guy in a mobility scooter comes by, so he's got a thing saying, "Excuse me, sir, are you basically happy?" And he's like, "I'm bloody miserable. The pubs are closed. What do you expect?" Oh, brilliant. Oh.
I seen on a side note, a few weeks ago I seen a thread on Twitter. It was like football conspiracies finds it unreal, or the biggest conspiracies in football, and so many people just said Burnley is a conspiracy. Nobody actually watches our games, but they always appear in the league table.
I've seen that, yeah.
So, before we go, you've probably seen a few mini-series coming out from the podcast. First one, the Tenny Bears, where a guest comes on every week to answer set 10 questions, but a mixture of football memories, but favourite songs, best Rangers goal, all that kind of stuff. There's also another mini-series which has got quite a lot of excitement about it, the Generation Bears, hosted by our very own Scott Carney. Scott, talk us through that.
So yeah, Generation Bears is a new series I came up with, posted to yourself, and you very, very kindly let me do the show. So it's when I have a different bear on from as many different generations as possible, really, to pick out their hero from their time growing up watching Rangers that kind of cemented their love for the club. So say we've had Ronald de Boer with yourself, Colin, so far. That seems to have went down quite well. And next up will be Alex almost tonight, who's going to discuss Super Ally. I've already seen these points that he wants to talk about, and I'm very much looking forward to recording that one.
Ali, you must be buzzing to talk about Super Ali. Is that who you were named after?
I know you'd think that because the name's Alistair, yeah. But no, I heard you were one with Ronald de Boer. Made me feel a bit old, to be honest. Ronald de Boer was your hero. It's like when Ronald de Boer was, because I was 15 when Ronald de Boer joined Rangers, and he left. I think he was at Rangers 3-4 years, so I could drink when he was leaving. But no, Super Ali was my one growing up. So the 5 games I've picked were good games to talk about, to be honest. You're going back 25 years though for a lot of these games, so it's racking the memory, but I do remember them all. So no, I'll be looking forward to speaking about the 5 games, and hopefully everyone else enjoys it.
You're showing your age there, mate, talking about going back 25 years. That's why I've got you on second, mate, because Colin was first, and I was like, Ronald de Boer. I was like, I need somebody older. I was like, that's you.
Yeah. To be fair, Scott, we work together, and you say to me regularly, I forget what age you are, and because I came out the womb looking like a 40-year-old, I have the most aged face ever. Like, one day I will look my age. I'm slowly but surely getting there. So, if any of the listeners want to get involved and come on the Tenny Bears or the Generation Bears, we'd love for anybody to come on. We've all got our own memories and our own favourite parts about following the team we love. Please get in touch with ourselves at the Gallant Few, or even our own Twitter page, or we're on Facebook and Instagram as well. Get in touch, let us know if you want to come on, or even what you think about the pod. Feel free. All that's left to do is thank 2 guests for joining me. First of all, cracking debut from Mr. Ally Pearson.
No problem. It was a pleasure to be on. Hopefully be back on again.
Yeah. And Scott Carney, it's always a pleasure, mate.
Pleasure as always, Colin.
Thanks very much for listening. Take care.